So PlayStation has basically given its consumers false information about their current generation console, the PlayStation 5. If you go to a Best Buy, a Walmart, GameStop, or whatever huge store that sells game consoles, including the newest current generation consoles as of today, being the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S, if you go to those stores or you bought your PlayStation 5 in the last going on 4 years, ever since it originally came out, you basically had something on your box, and it was a little symbol, and yeah, we're talking about something future-proof. Well, the other day, Sony has actually removed that a little symbol on new future PS5 boxes. Can you guess of what it is? Yeah, that is right. We're talking about the 8K icon that you've seen that was on basically the PlayStation 5 box, where you see 4K gaming, 8K, and freaking 120 FPS, what you would get on the PlayStation 5. Well, the 8K label has now been completely removed for future PlayStation 5 consoles. And not only did we actually have two Samsung 8K TVs, even though they were complete garbage, they were trash, and we actually got lucky of finally getting a refund for basically the last one from Samsung, and then our first one that was bad is how we got our LGC one once we were able to take our first 8K TV back to Best Buy after Samsung contacted them, and we got our money back, and we was able to get this bad boy being the LGC one OLED, and it was a smart choice. So, even though the PlayStation 5, Sony had the 8K label on there showing, and Mark Cerny himself, the lead architecture, he also stated when he announced the specifications that the PlayStation 5 would have back in 2019, a year and a half before its initial release, he touted that this console would be 8K capable, and Digital Foundry also said that there is one native 8K game that you can play natively at 8K resolution. But we had two 8K Samsung TVs, even though they were bad, and we had our PlayStation 5 plugged in. We did not get an option to play, whether if it was just upscaling and not native. We didn't even get the option to basically play at 8K resolution while upscaling. Now, not natively, because the PlayStation 5 cannot handle like 99.9% of its games in native 8K resolution, which I'm sure that most of you on there, know about this. But we did have a really small indie game that did be able to hit 8K resolution on the PlayStation 5, and it actually was confirmed from Digital Foundry that it was actually able to hit 8K, and the same game on an Xbox Series X didn't even hit 8K, it only hit 6K, which is a little odd because the Xbox Series X is a slightly bit more powerful, so that is kind of a bit strange that a less more powerful console can actually play a game at higher resolutions, but you're basically not given the option on an 8K TV display to basically play at upscale 8K. And the same thing goes with the Xbox Series X. Also, Microsoft also touted that the Xbox Series X would indeed be able to play at 8K while upscaling. Well, guess what? We didn't get the option to do for that console either. So, in the long run, Microsoft and Sony basically gave out false advertisements of the current generation consoles. And they already did this when it comes to being able to play games at 4K and at 120 FPS, and we don't even get very much of those also. The only thing that we mostly get is 4K 30 frames a second or a performance mode that is either from like 1800p, dynamic 1620p, dynamic 1440p, or a solid native 1080p at 60 frames a second. That is actually what we get on performance options on most games. Now, this is not a huge deal to most gamers out there, especially even to casual, console gamers out there. Most of the time, they will pick either quality or performance. But honestly, we shouldn't have to pick one or the other. It should just be combined together. We should just be able to get 4K 60 frames a second, or maybe a 1080p 1440p at 120 frames. So this is another false advertisement that both Sony and Microsoft basically said that these consoles were going to be able to do back in 2019, but they never did. Now, this could possibly be the whole COVID stuff that happened back in 2020, like right when the consoles were initially launching, and maybe there was going to be something in some, sort of, update or something, or Microsoft and Sony basically was like, okay, they looked at the sales and they were like, okay, 8K TVs are not selling at all, hardly, so let's just stick with 4K. Now, if they would have at least came out and said, okay, we decided to just keep the consoles at 4K because we see that 8K is not really selling hardly at all, and it would have been a nice, notice, a nice, compliment of letting us know that that's what they chose to do. So this whole time, you're basically on the PlayStation 5, you were getting an 8K label, and the PlayStation 5 can actually play one specific game at 8K, but you could not do it. You couldn't even play at 8K resolution. You couldn't even upscale to 8K resolution. So, honestly, I think this is a bad move of what Sony did. But even though they did what was right and they removed the ACON label, or the 8K label, I said ACON, but they removed the 8K label now on newer future PlayStation 5 boxes, and it's actually smart because really, we had two 8K Samsung TVs over the last couple of years, and we didn't even get the option to play at upscale 8K at all. It did not give us that option in the resolutions mode. We was only able to do 2160p, which is 4K. That was it. And the same thing goes for the Xbox Series X. We were not able to get no higher than 4K. And minus all of that, just also to give you a little bit of a heads up of some change of plans also coming. We have talked about in some previous videos that we're going to be getting the LG C4 and the Samsung S90D. Well, because of what we've been dealing with some life stuff going on and trying to figure out what we're going to do with our life and, like buy a house and how we're supposed to build credit. So we're trying to figure out that kind of stuff going on. So plans might actually be changing. So in this perspective, instead of getting the LG C4 and the Samsung S90D later on when sales go on, we've actually decided that if the Samsung S90C is still available and still at its good discount price in the next couple of weeks to a month or so, we're just going to go on ahead, get that on a payment plan, get it done, instead of waiting for the S90D, and we'll have that as our last QD OLED, and then we'll just wait for the LG B4 OLED to go on sale, and then get a nice OLED for cheaper than what the C4 will be. And then that way we could honestly start in 2025, save money, and do what needs to be done, because this is a huge change. But just wanted to throw that out there. So yeah, all this time, Sony has given you false information, false advertisements saying that the PS5 was actually 8K capable, not like natively, like I'm going to say again, but 8K capable of upscaling, and you couldn't even do that. We couldn't even do that on our 8K TVs that we did have. We couldn't even have the option to play at upscaling 4320p, which is what 8K resolution is considered when you got 2160p is what's considered 4K. So yeah, even then, we were only able to play at 4K. Now, I will give you some advice. If you do have an 8K TV display of either Samsung or LG, which are the only two brands from as far as we know that does make 8K TVs. Now, when you get an 8K TV and even playing at 4K on your PS5 or Xbox Series X, you will see the nice crisp detail of how an 8K TV display can help improve 4K to look even sharper and crisper. So, even playing at 4K on an 8K TV, you're going to still see how much cleaner that a 4K image can actually look. But you can honestly do that already with OLED, and that's why we're going to stick with OLED, because honestly, to an extent, 4K OLEDs almost look as good as what an 8K LCD TV can actually look. So, other than that, yeah, this whole time, Sony has said that the PS5 was 8K capable, but now it has never been 8K capable whatsoever, and now they have finally removed the label that is 8K on the box, and now 8K is not on the slim PlayStation 5s and possibly the PlayStation 5 Pro, but unless that's what is going on, unless the PlayStation 5 couldn't do 8K at all, but the PS5 Pro that is rumored to come out later this year can actually do 8K, unless that is the case. But when it comes to other than that, honestly, Sony just basically gave you false advertisements saying that a console can do something, and it has never been able to this whole time. And we have proof for having 8K TVs, and we did not get the option to play at upscale 8K on our 8K Samsung TV displays that we had, even though they were complete trash. They did not look that good because of like LCD, panel type of variants where you see some parts of the screen brighter, dimmer, and little spots like that kind of such. Not the clean picture itself, just the LED panel itself being not looking as crisp as contrast colors and whatever when you see brighter areas and darker areas. That's the only way. The only way that our TVs were trashed is because of that. Not in terms of the clarity, because in terms of the clarity, they were fire. But yeah, our TVs we couldn't even go to 8K on our PS5 on our 8K TV displays at all. So yeah, Sony basically just gave you false advertisement this whole time, and now they have officially removed the 8K label on PlayStation 5 boxes going forward. So just wanted to throw that out there and let you guys know that Sony has officially removed the 8K label on PlayStation 5 boxes going forward on the new future consoles coming out. So, hit that like button if you enjoy this content, and subscribe if you're new to this channel, and let us know in the comment section down below if you're one of the select few people that did try to get, or that does have an 8K TV, I should say, and you try to see if you could get 8K on your PlayStation 5, or if you basically couldn't and you was only locked to get 4K mainly, like we did. So yeah, just let us know in the comment section down below if you're one of the select few people that did have 8K and still were only locked at 4K on your PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X. So, other than that, yeah, just let us know in the comment section. Tech and gaming reviews, rate, comment, subscribe, and we'll just see you on the next one. So, peace out.